Hello, I'm James Brown, and welcome to the Why the Nativity Experience as we live out the wonder of His love. I consider it an honor that Dr. Jeremiah has asked me to present insights into three characters from the Christmas story who are fascinating in origin and teach us about how we are to both seek and worship the Savior. Let's look at the Magi of Christmas. Mary and Joseph were not the only people waiting for the birth of the Savior. There were others waiting on him as well, from scholars like Nicodemus to ordinary people like Simeon and Anna. Understandably, they would have been anticipating the revelation of their Messiah, for each was a Jew. Far to the east of Israel, there were others who were aware of an ancient prophecy that a king of the Jews was destined to arise as a mighty ruler. We know them as wise men or magi. They were sages, astronomers, and studiers of ancient prophecies and documents. And somehow they concluded that a star connected to the coming of this king would arise in Judea. We are not certain of each king's origin. However, we believe one or more were Persian from Mesopotamia. And this is what is fascinating. In 605 BC, Babylon besieged Jerusalem and took the best and brightest, including Daniel and his three friends, captive. With both, this deportation went priestly knowledge and copies of the books of Moses. So then, the Hebrew scriptures were in Mesopotamia. And there is no doubt that the sages and scholars of these peoples studied them. By the time of Jesus' birth, the Hebrew scriptures were likely part of the royal archives in various parts of Mesopotamia. Numbers 24:17, no doubt, had caught the Magi's eye. A star shall come out of Jacob, a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and batter the brow of Moab, and destroy all the sons of tumult. Those were the words of the pagan prophet Balaam concerning Israel's victories over her oppressors. But when Persian astrologers who were used to finding signs in the heavens saw that a star with a scepter, both ancient references to a king, would come out of Israel, they took it literally. That prophecy, coupled with the appearance of a new star in the heavens to their west, put them on a road to Judea. Remember, we're talking about how complicated seeking and finding was in ancient times, but it was all they knew. So kings from across the east set out on the long journey with entourages loaded with supplies and gifts to find the prophesied king. Let's take a moment to learn some things from the king's diligence. First, they studied about the Messiah. We know that at least the Persians had probably read the 5 books of Moses thoroughly. Perhaps there were priestly descendants of the Jews who studied with them, translating their Hebrew texts. The Magi didn't know everything, but we know they were diligent students who waited and watched. Secondly, the kings searched for the Messiah. What a price these Magi paid to search for a king of another people, to travel the distance to Judea and then back to their countries to acknowledge the arrival of the subject of ancient prophecies. Like me, I hope you are inspired by their commitment to find the Savior of the world. Next, the kings shared the Messiah. I love this. There was an innocent naivete about these scholars. They assumed that everyone in Jerusalem would be celebrating the birth of their new king. When they arrived, their first question was, "We know about the birth of your new king. Where can we find him?" Little did they know that few people shared their eagerness to find the king. But like the Magi, we should not only seek the Savior, but also be bold enough to express our passion for him. Then the kings sacrificed for the Messiah. The Magi sacrificed more than just the value of their gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They sacrificed their time, incurred additional expenses to pay for their trip, and likely their reputation. After all, there was always the possibility that their search could have failed and they would be discredited among their peers. They put everything on the line for what they believed to be true, much like what it means to follow Jesus today. Finally, the kings served the Messiah. True spiritual seeking leads to true spiritual service, the service of worship. And that is what the Magi did when they finally reached Jesus. They fell down and worshiped him. Worship is the true end of all spiritual seeking. Jeremiah 29:13 tells us that those who seek God will find him when they seek him with all their heart. But here's one thing that sets us apart from the Magi. While they speculated celestially, we seek him with certainty. The Magi searched for the new king of Israel with no certainty of finding him. In God's plan, their journey led them to his childlike throne room where they worshiped. We enjoy not the speculation of the Magi, but the certainty of knowing who Jesus is, where he is, and how we may find him to know him better. Not by looking to the stars, but by celebrating Christmas, where we find his presence in so many ways. This Christmas, seek him in the way the Magi did, in the scriptures, in your daily journey, in sharing him with others, in living a sacrificial life, and in serving him with true worship. Those are the ways Christmas reminds us to seek and find him. And what about gifts? What gifts are you bringing to him this Christmas? Let your gifts be those of love, forgiveness, joy, worship, celebration, and a sacrificial life. We have found the Savior the Magi sought. This Christmas, celebrate Jesus, the newborn King.